Are you certain? Are you certain you don't need to get sober? Are you certain you can't get sober? I was, and that certainty almost killed me. Not alcohol, not shame, not lack of willpower, but certainty. The beliefs I held with absolute confidence, beliefs that I was sure were protecting me, were the very walls that kept me trapped. If you're absolutely sure that your drinking is something you can handle on your own, I urge you to watch this video. If you're already bristling at these ideas, good. That resistance is the sound of a brittle wall flexing. Stay with me. Here's who this video is for. If you're a high-functioning, midlife professional who keeps telling yourself, I don't need to quit, or I could stop if I had to, or life without alcohol would be dull and gray. I made this video for you because I believed all three. I thought those convictions, my rock-solid certainties, were iron pillars. After 10,000 days of sobriety, I realized that they turned out to be more like thin glass. They shattered the moment reality put real pressure on them. Before we go further, subscribe to Second Act Sobriety, hit the like, and leave a comment. I read every one and will respond. All right, let's get to work. For years, I lived in a beautiful prison. On the outside, success, a respected career, a full calendar. On the inside, a slow collapse. My relationships were crumbling. I'd already chalked up one divorce. My finances, despite a physician's income, were skirting disaster. The healthy athlete I saw in my mind's eye wasn't looking back at me in the mirror anymore. And still I told myself with certainty, 1, I don't need to get sober. 2, if I ever did need to, I could do it. And 3, if I ever did do it, life would be joyless, flat, colorless, a long gray hallway to nowhere. Those 3 certainties felt like strength. They felt like clarity. They were, in fact, the opposite. They were fear wearing a varsity jacket. They were my defense against the most terrifying sentence I could imagine saying out loud. I might be wrong. Those certainties were the bars of my prison that kept me trapped. Why is certainty so alluring? Because certainty reduces anxiety. For a nervous system running hot, a firm conclusion, right or wrong, feels like relief. Case closed gives the brain something to stand on. Fear hates open loops. Alcohol, by the way, is a short-term loop closer. It gives the illusion that the answer is in hand. So pairing alcohol with absolute beliefs is like pouring quickset cement in your mental life. Perfect for building an opaque wall between you and other ideas. Fortunately, although they seem robust, certain convictions are, on closer inspection, fragile. Let's take a closer look at those 3 ideas about sobriety that I was absolutely sure about, one by one. First certainty, I don't need to get sober. This idea is elegant because it protects everything. If I don't need to get sober, then I don't need to change anything. I can keep my routines, my rituals, my friendships, my weekends. I could cling to the exceptions that prove the rule, those few good days, the streaks of moderation, a week where I worked out, ate clean, and stayed in control. I could curate evidence like a skilled attorney and convince the jury, myself, that the case was closed. Then life forced me into abstinence. Not because I was brave, not because I grew up overnight, but because the wheels came off. It wasn't heroic, but a simple strategy to try to survive. But then something happened. As withdrawal faded around day 8 or 9, I woke up and noticed 2 things at the same time. I felt physically better, and I felt more hopeful. Not triumphant, not enlightened, just slightly, but undeniably better. The tiniest uptick in clarity, the faintest sense that forward existed. That was the first hairline crack in the wall. And here's the part my old certainty never accounted for. You can debate hypotheticals all day, but you can't argue with experience. Once reality contradicts your doctrine, doctrine loses. Slowly at first, then suddenly. I don't need to get sober stopped holding water because my body and mind were telling a different story. The second certainty, I can get sober anytime I want. This one is seductive. It sounds strong, it sounds responsible. It's the illusion of control dressed up as confidence. And in the short term, it's the perfect anesthetic, because if I'm certain I could stop later, I never have to stop now. When my forced abstinence began, I tried to interpret this as proof. See, I told you I could stop if I had to. But the truth seeped in. That's not what happened. What happened was a catastrophic life implosion that I'd seen coming for a long time and chose to ignore. All the warning signals in the world were blaring. I didn't stop because I decided to. I stopped because the consequences bulldozed me. Here's the uncomfortable autopsy report on that I can stop anytime belief. It didn't keep me safe. It kept me stationary. It preserved inertia. It gave me a safety net made of tissue paper. I didn't choose recovery. I pulled it out of the rubble. And finally, the third certainty. Life without alcohol will be joyless. This was a big one. The shadow of it stretched across every future I envisioned. Without alcohol, life will be gray forever. No color, no sparkle, no relief. Just the grind. I tried to smash that wall head-on early in my sobriety. I failed. Every time I imagined the rest of my life without that off switch, I felt profound sadness. No fireworks, just a heavy, bleak dread. Had things not changed, I would have never stayed sober, and certainly wouldn't be looking back on nearly 3 decades of a life I would never trade. So how did that wall fall? Not with a sledgehammer, with erosion, with quiet, boring daily behavior, new routines, new people, new ways of spending an evening, new ways of getting through the weekend. And somewhere along the way, something small and subversive appeared. Spontaneous laughter, honest conversations, a long walk that brought peace, a sunrise that I didn't sleep through. The first time I caught myself enjoying a moment without a chemical assist, another tiny crack appeared, and then another, and then another. That's when I discovered the truth I'm offering you today. Certainty isn't strength. Certainty is the offspring of fear. Beliefs held with absolute rigidity are brittle. They don't bend, they don't adapt. So when life presses on them, they don't flex, they fracture. I had always equated certainty with wisdom. I thought conviction was the same thing as clarity. It isn't. Real strength, the kind that survives stress and change, doesn't come from being sure. It comes from being honest. It comes from humility. It comes from being able to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. So let me talk directly to that version of you who is nodding and scowling at the same time. You're certain you can't get sober, or certain you don't need to, or certain you could if you ever had to. If that's you, I want to hand you a chisel, not a bulldozer, a chisel, because you don't need to blow up your life to change it. You just have to let reality make contact with your doctrine. You have to chip and chip and chip. You have to give yourself the chance to experience something that contradicts your certainty in small, survivable doses. Here's how this could work practically. 7 tiny cracks you can create this week. Number 1, run a 72-hour experiment. No vows, no forever. Just 3 days without alcohol or other intoxicants. To stay engaged, track 1 metric morning and night, like sleep quality, mood, energy, or anxiety. Don't think about it, measure it on a 1 to 10 scale. Experiencing something different is the solvent that dissolves certainty. Number 2, replace 1 ritual, not your whole identity. If your nightly drink is a gateway to relaxation, swap the gateway, not the relaxation. A walk, a cold shower, 10 pages of a book you actually like. Watch another video on this channel. Keep the reward, switch the cue. Number 3, tell 1 person the truth. Not a confessional speech One sentence to someone safe. Say, I'm running an experiment, I'd like your support. Secrets are cement for brittle walls. Saying something out loud is a crack. Number 4, schedule one joy appointment. Not entertainment, joy. Something that connected with you before alcohol. A trail, a beach sunrise, a sketch pad, a guitar you haven't touched in 10 years. Put it on the calendar like a doctor's appointment. Show up. Joy isn't guaranteed, but it's more likely to find you if it's invited. Number 5, revisit the power of black ink on a white page. Write down your loudest certainty. I can stop anytime. It's not that bad. Sober means boring. Then, write the simplest piece of data you have that contradicts it, even slightly. Put them on the same page. Let them sit there and argue without you. Number 6, go to one meeting or one group where sobriety is normal. Online counts. You don't have to talk, you don't have to adopt any doctrine. Just watch people live in a way that your certainty says is impossible. Exposure undermines predictions. And finally, number 7, build a small streak, even if insultingly small. 2 minutes of journaling, 1 lap around the block, 5 push-ups. Streaks are the rebar inside your new wall. Tiny efforts compounded will outlast gusts of doubt. By the way, days without intoxication are a wonderful streak to start. Will any of these demolish a belief? Probably not, but that's not their job. Their job is to introduce stress to a rigid system, to turn an absolute back into a hypothesis, to let you collect data that your certainty won't permit. I'll leave you with a question that changed everything for me, and I hope it lights a fuse for you. Are you certain that you cannot change? If your answer is yes, look 1 inch underneath that certainty. If you find fear there, and you probably will, good. You've just located a fault line. Tap it, and tap it again tomorrow. Keep tapping it until you feel the walls start to give. Oh, and if you're certain you're not an alcoholic, just a problem drinker, I have another video that frames the medical reality in a way that might help you place yourself more precisely in this conversation. Watch that one next. It's right here. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Please subscribe, comment, and give us a like. Remember, giving up drinking doesn't mean giving up anything real. It means opening the door to the life you deserve. I'll see you in the next one.